share. Elijah Penrose.
I'm gonna ask you too because I was on the phone with him yesterday. I told my boy that's how I was gonna find out and I did it.
Did this nigga just really
What?
Your boyfriend crazy.
He just did that to his head.
Yes.
Hold on, come on.
I'm just saying that's Creon.
Let me
He
see.
said breaking my. He said if you need me, I'll be breaking. If you need me, I be breaking my hands. What?
Let me see. Go to it.
He need to break his freaking hand. He's just trying to get us to come around the corner. This is my best friend. I'm gonna talk a lot. Hey, look. Hey, little girl. Hey, little boy. What you doing, BF? No, what you doing? No.
Oh, that's my boy. This
See, look. Now, all this, he said, what you doing, BFF? Now, all of this is what we...
But you saw him call me best friend. I call him best friend.
It just said that...
I'm breaking.
He lying. He's just trying to get us to come around the corner. Look.
Let me see what he doing.
Hey, I'm mad at you. Why? No. At lunch. They keep saying we go out. And Demia
I got a good idea. Look, do this so we can see if it's still not. Okay,
because they found that everybody in 5th grade, they found that we was texting each other. And they thought that we was dating. So because somebody.
Text Antoine. All right. No, text Antoine. Say, cause you lying. Say why you lying. Say why you lying.
Bogus for this.
Say no. Look, text Antoine. Say why you lying. You need to find around the corner because and she hugging another boy. We gonna see if it's on what he really doing, huh? Huh? Right. Text him back. Wait, and you better come be his A. Okay, let's stand outside. So cool. No, when he said no, we gonna be on the hold on. At the corner. Hold on. I ain't found my nails. Yo, we don't send it yet. No, don't. No. No, wait. We gonna wait for her to say. We gonna wait for him to slide back. We gonna wait for him to slide back. Close the door. Don't close the big door. I am supposed to do that. I want to see this thing. He said what?
No, come on.
Say hurry up, Antoine. She ain't gonna go there. She's gonna come right back in this house. Say come back, Antoine. Say come around, Antoine, right now. Say he just smacked us. Say he just kissed her on me. Say something to come around here so we can put the arm in the book. Ayana, you better get his house and he come. Come on, he finna come here. He finna come here. No, Ayana, come here.
Dumb motherfucker. I was just playing. Your ass taking too far. No, fuck you, bitch. She not over here doing none of that. We was just doing her to see what she was gonna do it because we was trying to make you come around this corner to see if your hand was actually bleeding or not. Huh?
What is it?
Nigga, we was just playing. Dumb motherfucker. Huh? You coming over?
Why
Hold on, come around the corner. I mean, like right here, because I'm not going to walk up. No, when he do that, he don't get too freaking upset.
And tell him don't bring. After tell him don't bring the car. Okay, he's gonna get shot. Tell him I bring the car over here. Tell him don't bring his friend over here.
Don't bring your car, your little friend over here. And hurry up and come over here. I'm about to walk over there.
No, he gonna walk around here. Just wait.
What you mean you gonna walk around here? Cause he's acting like he's fucking slow, bro. I'm just irritating the shit out of me.
Let me talk to him.
I'm talking about.
That's fine. Hold on, nobody come over here.
I'm talking about. I'm talking to you. You don't want me. Boy, a real nigga will come over there and start beating that nigga's head. No, he's getting mad. He was around here. No lie. He got angry and shit. That's why he instantly jumped to fuck everybody, and all types of shit. We finna play this song because I need this remote coming motherfucking stairs out, bro. Yeah. No, because I'm really pissed fans out. My dog could not come outside. He just came from outside.
Here he come.
If I was a nigga, that's not him.
I said he just said he.
If I was a nigga and then one of their friends told me that she was hugging a nigga, I'd instantly be running up here like, what the fuck's up? What the fuck's do that?
Right.
No,
And then I sit on her ass and it's not true.
he was irritated.
Fuck man, he finna cut his motherfucking hand. Bitch! I'm finna smack him too. For saying that.
Wrap up his hand and be like, that's crayon.
I'ma scream and I'ma smack his hand.
Like, that's assault, boy.
I'ma smack his hand and scream. Where's Zach at? Keep Zach in the house. He don't like Antoine. Do Zach like Antoine?
Not like that.
No, he don't like Antoine at all.
You get your shoes on, girl.
He out there?
No. It was just an old man talking to his son.
peace, Ashe, Islam, Rahubat, respect, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam, namaste, Ubuntu, shalom, salam, arigato, and konnichiwa, whatever the greeting is in your respective language. I am your brother Crumb, and this is Monsanto 100-year killing spree. And with that said, I just want to give a quick announcement. Please follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube. All right, so with that said, I want to get right into it. Ooh, cancel. Almost canceled that. All right, so family, this is my PowerPoint. Y'all know how I like to do. And I'm live right now on YouTube and Facebook. So shout out to the YouTube family, shout out to the Facebook family. All right, so with that said, let's get into it, family. Monsanto, 100-year killing spree. Now, I want you to notice, family, this is part 1. So there will be a part 2, and I'll give you a tidbit on that at the end of this video. All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about is saccharin. Saccharin, family. Now, when we're dealing with saccharin, I want to first reference a book. And the book is called Foodopoly: The Battle Over the Future of Food and Farming in America. Now, if we look inside the book Foodopoly, it says Monsanto, well, here, let me help you out. Family. Monsanto, the world's largest producer of genetically engineered seed, with ownership of 674 agricultural patents, became the dominant player and the symbol for the industry, excuse me. It was founded in St. Louis, Missouri. And I think that's a typo. It should be St. Louis, Illinois. But nonetheless, in 1901, by John Francis Queeny, who was the buyer for Myers Brothers drug. He was familiar with the drug and chemical industry. Now, he married well. He didn't marry no bad bitch, family. He married a rich chick, naming the company after his father-in-law, because she took her father's name. Mendez de Monsanto, a sugar financier. Now, keep in mind, he came in the game on chemicals. His wife's side of the family came in the game on sugar. This is a very important omen for the future. So they were a sugar financier down in St. Thomas, according to a 1936 article in Time magazine. He figured he had sold enough remedies and condiments to be able to make money manufacturing them. He gave the company his wife's name, or the wife's father's name, because he planned to keep on peddling drugs under his own. Now, here's another foreshadowing, family. They said that he sold enough remedies and condiments. So drugs and food. This is going to be very important in the future. I need you to follow me on this one. To be able to make money manufacturing them. So moving forward, Monsanto first produced saccharin, the first thing Monsanto ever made was saccharin. Now, saccharin is a derivative of coal tar. It's a derivative of coal tar that was discovered accidentally by a researcher at Johns Hopkins University and was later in the 20th century linked to bladder cancer. Now, bladder cancer, I'm going to talk about this in just a second, family. Monsanto began as a major supplier of saccharin, caffeine, and vanillin to Coca-Cola specifically. Their first buyer was Coca-Cola, a prophetic alliance in hindsight. While Monsanto began making drugs, well, we're going to skip past that. Next slide. Oops, wrong button. So there you have it, family. This is John Francis Queeny, the originator of Monsanto. So he moved to St. Louis in 1897, and that's where he worked for the Myers Brothers Drug Company. At that time, Meyer Brothers was the largest wholesale pharmaceutical company in the world. So now in 1899, he spent his life savings on a sulfur. This is very important right here. On a sulfur, did I type this here? On a sulfur refinery that burned down the very next day. Why is this important? Because in 1901, with $5,000, he founded Monsanto Chemical Works. He began producing saccharin. What is the scientific name for saccharin? Benzoic sulfamide. He was dealing with sulfur from the very beginning, which he sold this to Meyer Brothers. Now, if we move forward, we're going to see that saccharin has some significant health issues associated with it. The old studies linked saccharin to bladder cancer in rats because those studies, because of those studies, saccharin once carried a warning label that it may be hazardous to health. So why was this important in terms of bladder cancer? Because saccharin was used in drinks. You'd be like, Crumb, well, bladder cancer, why is that really important? Because it's, they were using saccharin in medicine or turkey. No, they were using it in drinks. That's why the bladder cancer thing was so important, because it was in drinks. And what it said on the drinks were the sodas at that time. The use of this product may be hazardous to your health. This product contains saccharin, which has been determined to cause cancer in laboratory animals. Now, when we're dealing with drinks, these drinks are now called sodas. At that time, they were called soft drinks. Now, keep in mind, this dude came from Chicago, Illinois, and he left after the Great Fire. Remember when Chicago was made of wood and everything caught fire? Well, because everything caught fire, he left. Now, once everything caught fire and he left, during that time, America had no water system, family. America had no water filtration system. Now, keep in mind, Africa had no water filtration system. Why? Because this is called the water cycle: condensation, evaporation, and precipitation. Water goes through a natural water cycle. You don't have to clean your water naturally. If there's nothing in, polluting the world, then the world is going to clean it. The world is self-sufficient. Just like you don't need anything to clean the inside of you. That's what your kidneys are for. So moving forward, America has no water system because they're fucking shit up. They're mining. They're spraying chemicals and all type. They're screwing everything up, so they couldn't even drink the water. That's why they effed the Indians up. The Indians was like, nobody expected them to poison the water because we all got to drink it. So after they poisoned the water, they started drinking liquor, which was a hard drink. So then when soda came along, they called soda a soft drink. So now the FDA didn't regulate it like they were supposed to, so some cities had to do it themselves, or some states and municipalities had to do it themselves. As you can see here, some stores have put signs up in their businesses saying this store sells food I'm right here, family. This store sells food including diet beverages and dietetic foods that contain saccharin. You will find saccharin listed in the ingredient statement on most foods which contain it. All foods which contain saccharin will soon bear the warning, this warning label. Use of this product may be hazardous to your health. I'm not even reading no more. You can read that yourself. Use of this product may be hazardous to your health. The exact same one that we're going to find in my previous slide. Use of this product may be hazardous to your health. They took it off the sodas, so then stores started putting it up in their businesses. So you're like, well, the bladder thing. What was the bladder thing so important for, From? Because they were using saccharin in soft drinks. Hey, baby. So now let's go to a book called Corporate Conspiracies: How Wall Street Took Over Washington. It was written by a gentleman by the name of Richard Belzer. Now, Richard Belzer is best known for his role as John Munch on the hit TV series Law and Order SVU, Special Victims Unit, where he played a New York police detective and a sergeant and the DA investigator. So what you may not know is not only was he a actor, but he was a comedian and he was a New York Times best-selling author. So in his book, he talks about saccharin. He says saccharin, the artificial sweetener used in thousands of products, has been shown to cause cancer, but massive pressure from manufacturers and artificial sweeteners and diet sodas managed to get the product taken off the National Institutes of Health carcinogen list. Now, if you don't know what a carcinogen is anything that causes cancer. So now we're going to go into PCBs. I'm going to be really quick with the PCBs because it's not as interesting as the other part that I'm dying to share with you. So now if we look at PCBs right here in red. In the 1920s, because we're going over the last 100 years, saccharin was in the first 10. In the 1920s, Monsanto expands into industrial chemical and drugs, becoming the world's largest maker of aspirin. This is also the time when things begin to go horribly wrong for the plant in a hurry with the introduction of their PCBs, or polychlorinated biphenyls. So now, PCBs at that time were considered, PCB was considered a wonder chemical, an oil that wouldn't burn, impervious to degradation. Hold on, can Facebook see? Facebook, let me turn my light on just in case it's a little too dark for y'all. Oh, dag, nabbit, I'm gonna have to walk away. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry, baby. Hold on 2 seconds. Sorry about that, baby. Let me just hit the light real quick. Turn all of the lights on. All of the lights. I gotta turn all the lights on for my Facebook family. My screen was a little dark. All right, hold on, family. All right, so that might be a little bit better. Okay, here we go. PCBs were considered a wonder chemical as an oil that wouldn't burn, impervious to degradation, and has almost limitless applications like lubricants, hydraulic fluid, cutting oil, waterproof coating, and even liquid sealing. I'm reading it in the red part, going down to the green part. Now, PCBs are known as one of the grave chemical threats on Earth as a potent carcinogen implicated in reproductive, developmental, and immune system disorders. Monsanto is the world's largest center for PCB manufacturing. Now, keep in mind, they were in East St. Louis. That thing in the top where it said Missouri was a typo. There's an East St. Louis, Illinois, where all of this is going down. He left Monsanto, Queenie left Chicago, and went to East St. Louis. Now, because of what they were doing with the PCBs in East St. Louis, which was causing all these, what does it say in green? Reproductive, developmental and immune system disorders. There was a Jew by the name of John Kozel who did a investigation on them, and he said East St. Louis, which the local press refers to as the inner city without an outer city, has some of the sickest children in America. Of 66 cities in Illinois, East St. Louis ranks first in fetal death, first in premature birth, and third in infant health. Now, what he did not do was call out Monsanto by name, but he was alluding to Monsanto PCBs. Now, if we look at another book called The Raping of America, Politics, Greed, Corruption, Crime, and Deceit by Harvey Hawkins. In that book, it said, let me just back up for Facebook. All right, so Facebook can see everything. So in that book, it said, polychlorinated biphenyls are man-made chemicals once used for a diverse range of applications, including flame retardant, coolant, lubricants, policides, pesticides, and sealants. It has been banned from most of the United States since the 1970s, but still persists in the environment. They have been known to cause skin rashes and just a bunch of bad stuff. The EPA says it's probable human carcinogens. Monsanto, and it goes on to say, Monsanto was charged with life-threatening environmental damage in Alabama 40 years ago. Plaintiffs in the pending lawsuits provided documents showing that the local Monsanto factory knowingly discharged both mercury and PCB-laden waste into the local creeks for 40 years, family. It was said that in 1969 alone, Monsanto had dumped 45 tons of PCBs into Snow Creek, which supplies much of the area's drinking water. Monsanto don't got no soul, family. Monsanto, to do something like that, you gotta be, just like with the lynch, I keep telling y'all, white people don't have a soul, family. White people have, now after slavery, there was the lynching era, where they would just take their children to see us lynched. Would you let your child see somebody get lynched for fun? You got to be a soulless people to do something like that. They put 45 tons of PCB into the people's local drinking water. The company also buried millions of pounds of PCBs in open pit landfills located on hillsides above the plant, surrounding surrounding neighborhoods. In 2003, Monsanto agreed to pay plaintiffs $700 million to settle claims over 20,000 innocent residents related to PCB contamination. But Monsanto never issued an apology to those people because at the end of the day, they didn't care, family. 700 million is small things to a giant. So even though PCBs were eventually banned after 50 years of causing such devastation, it is still present in just about all animals and human blood tissue. And that's across the globe, family. Documents introduced in court later showed Monsanto was fully aware of the deadly effects, but criminally hid them from the public to keep the PCB gravy train going full speed. They knew what they were doing. Now in a lawsuit, that's civil. What they were doing was criminal. Nobody ever went to jail, even though they were acting in criminal capacity. They knew these people weren't just doing no regular white-collar crimes. This right here is criminal, a grievous, heinous criminal activity. Moving forward, I just want to touch on PCBs. Now, let's get old family. Let's get into Nazi gas chambers. Now I'm getting excited. Crumb getting excited now. So now Monsanto partners with IG Farben. They were Hitler's go-to chemical manufacturer, exterminating millions with Zyklon B gas. during the Holocaust. You'd be like, Crumb, I don't know what Zyklon B is. I heard a lot about the Holocaust, and I know some friends whose family went through all of that. But Crumb, I never heard of Zyklon B. No worries, family. Brother Crumb got you. Together, the companies use their collective expertise in genocide to introduce aspartame, another extremely deadly neurotoxin, into the food supply. But I'm going to end on aspartame. But at this point, I'm about to jump on Zyklon B. And before I jump on Zyklon B, let's talk about IG Farben. Oh, wrong button. Hold on. IG Farben. So now, IG Farben was a conglomerate company. Here, let me go back. Let me go down real quick. IG Farben was a conglomerate. It was Farben Industry. Farben Industry. It was made up of 6 companies. Bayer was a parent company. Bayer was the biggest and most successful company, and then the other 5 came in after Bayer. Now, here's the thing with Bayer. I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm going to talk about Bayer, but I want to talk about Casella really quickly, family. We got to talk about Casella so I can jump on your ass. Then we're going to talk about Bayer. Now, I put in my notes down here at the bottom. Casella, my hand shaking, sorry, Facebook. Casella, a German chemical and pharmaceutical company founded by a Jew named Leopold Casella. A Jew, family. So now, I want to point this out. Y'all be like, Crumb, you can't talk about slavery because Africans participated in the African slave trade. Bitch, that's right. Bitch, did you know that Jews participated in the Holocaust? Casella participated in the Holocaust. Don't tell me that I can't talk about slavery because Africans participated in the Holocaust. Bitch, go tell a Jew that they cannot talk about the Holocaust because Jews participated in the Holocaust. Go look up Casella. Go look up Casella. Casella was a part of IG Farben. IG Farben was responsible for creating Zyklon B. Here are my footnotes at the bottom. I forgot to read this. IG Farben produced and held the patent for Zyklon B, which was the gas used in the gas chambers to gas the Jews. Now let's talk about Bayer. Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. Now that we talk about Casella, let's talk about Bayer. Bayer is right there, right beside Casella, 2 of the leading ones. You go to the front door of IG Farben Industries, the 2 frontmen are Casella, which is a Jew, and Bayer, which is a German. They were all in bed together, family. Okay? Sorry. So now Bayer came in the game on heroin. So now let's compare Bayer to Bad Boy Records. You know, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs. Remember Sean Puffy Combs? So Bayer was equivalent to Sean Puffy Combs. Bayer had 2 artists at the time, or chemicals. Sean Puffy Combs had Craig Mack and Notorious B.I.G. And Bayer had 2 products. The first product was aspirin. The second product was heroin. Guess who was aspirin and who was heroin? Craig Mack, aspirin. Biggie Smalls, heroin. Now don't get me wrong. Aspirin did his thing. Craig Mack did his thing. I'm kicking new flavor in your ear. Brand new flavor in your ear. Aspirin was doing his thing. But heroin was the big dog. Bayer came in the game on commercializing heroin. Now, for all my dope boys, eat your heart out, dope boy. eat your heart out because heroin took Bayer to the international stage. Your ass selling on the block, they was selling heroin all across the world. Eat your heart out. Who was that dude? Frank White. Eat your heart out, Frank White. So now, back to Zyklon B and these goddamn Jews. Back to Zyklon B and the goddamn Jew. So now, who invented Zyklon B? It was a Jew by the name of Fritz Haber. Fritz Haber invented the gas to gas Jews. Don't come to me talk about crumb. You can't talk about slavery because Africans participated in slavery. Bitch, you can't talk about the Holocaust because Jews participated in the Holocaust. Okay? Okay, family? Fritz Haber. Let's look at the bottom right here. I'm right here at the bottom. This is where I'm reading. Haber-Bosch processes created nitrogen fertilizer that helped grow, that helped feed a growing population. Now, I want you to look at the connections. We're dealing with Monsanto. Monsanto is a chemical company that deals with food. Fritz Haber-Bosch was a chemist who was dealing with food. IG Farben was a chemical company that was dealing with food. I'm going to draw a connection later on in this, so follow me. Farber process created nitrogen fertilizer that helped feed a growing population, but it also created a poison gas that was used in Nazi concentration camps. And I think this is a book that was written by Daniel Charles called Between Genius and Genocide: The Tragedy of Fritz Haber, father of chemical warfare. Now, when you're dealing with Monsanto, chemical warfare, that's right up Monsanto's alley. Zyklon B. All the Jews, eat your heart out, baby. Zyklon B, let's keep going into Haber. Haber's patriotism was not good enough for the Nazis. Haber's pesticides was adopted to the Nazi genocide gas. Haber's relatives became victims. So after Haber created this gas, it was used on his particular family. Even his family had to smell that gas. So now I got a little joke for you here, family. Here's a joke about Jimmy that you might not like. I'm quoting Snoop on that one. Zyklon B was developed by Fritz Haber, a German Jewish chemist and Nobel laureate. It was a cyanide-based insecticide used during the First World War. War was delucing, but was later used in killing thousands of Jews in the gas chamber. So then it says, Jewish chemists used in the killing of thousands of Jews in the gas chamber. And if you can see the picture, it's a Jew killing a Jew. But Crumb, what about Africans who were in the African slave trade? But Crumb, what about black on black crime? Bitch, what about Jew on Jew crime? Huh? Come on, family. Come on, family. What about Jew on Jew crime? So now to make it even worse, once the war was over, IG Farben was a part of the Nuremberg. Hold on, let me see if I'm saying it right. I'm sorry. Nuremberg War. Here it is right here. That's what I'm looking at. The Nuremberg War Crimes Tribunal. In the Nuremberg War Crimes Tribunal, 24 members of IG Farben's board were tried for Nazi war crimes. Out of 24 members who were indicted, only 13 were sent to jail. No, family, they did not get the electric chair, they did not get the gas chamber, They did not get executed. They got an average of 1.5 to 8 years in prison. So if you commit a Nazi war crime and you're convicted, you get from 1.5, less than half of you, well, I'm sorry, about half of you will be convicted. And of the half convicted, you only get 1.5 to 8 years in prison. Does that seem fair, family? Does that seem about right to you? Well, it better, because that's what happened. This is the equivalent of too big to fail. What we are looking at now is the equivalent of the 2008 recession, where Goldman and Sachs almost drove our country, same thing, our country into oblivion, but they were not brought on criminal charges, but instead they were bailed out because they were too big to fail. This is what we're going to see similarly with Operation Paperclip. These people are too valuable to let sit in prison. So one of the people was Carl Worster. He was one of the accused. Even though he didn't get convicted, he was accused. And after he was done, he went on to be the CEO of BASF for 13 years. Now, even though BASF is a German company, BASF operates in America. Y'all probably know somebody who worked for BASF right now. The CEO of BASF for the 13 years was somebody who was responsible for creating Zyklon B, a manufacturer, and killing Jews. Too big to fail, family. Operation Paperclip, too valuable to kill. We need him over here in America. Bring BASF over here. The Nazi regime didn't die. It was rebranded into America. Oh, you thought it was just one? Oh, Crown, that was just one person. No, I'm not going to go through everybody, family. Oh, somebody said they used to work for BASF. One of my friends used to work for a company that was responsible for killing Jews. Salute to my brother. Get him! Get him! What did 50 Cent tell Young Buck? Get him, Buck! So here's another one. Fritz Termeer, or Fritz Termeer. Now he was actually convicted, and he was sentenced in the Nuremberg crime tribunals of genocide, slavery, and other crimes against humanity. His ass went and became a chairman for Bayer for more than a decade. For more than 20 years, his ass was a goddamn chairman. Your ass go to jail, you can't get a job. They ass gas goddamn Nazis, and they ass work for 20 years as a chairman. Your ass, Crumb, I got a charge for smoking weed. How can I get me a job now? His ass had charges for slavery. They made his ass a chairman for 20 years, family. For 20 years. Okay? Okay, hey, family? Moving on. What I want to present to you is how Monsanto was working on both sides of the fence. Not only were they working with the Nazi regime in terms of working with IG Farben, Monsanto was also working on the Manhattan Project used to fight the Nazis. They double dipping, family. Just like the Rothschild family was famous for funding both sides of a war, the Monsanto adopted the Rothschild approach to funding both sides of the war. Let me see, can I get some more light? Because Facebook still seems a little bit dark. Sorry about that, Facebook. Moving forward. So, 1940s, this is a 100-year killing spree, family. 1940s, they began research on uranium to be used for the Manhattan Project. I'm right here, family. Used for the Manhattan Project first atomic bomb, which would later be dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing hundreds of thousands of Japanese, Korean, and U.S. military servicemen and poisoning millions more. Now, if you know anything about, I'm right here, family. If you know anything about the Manhattan Project, you know that that project happened in several different places. So some of the Manhattan Project was in Alabama, some was in Illinois, some was in Virginia, and some was in Ohio. So now in Dayton, Ohio, the Manhattan Project tasked Monsanto Chemical Company with separating and purifying the radioactive element polonium, or PO210, which was used as the initiator for the atomic bomb. So they was over there making Zyklon B gas to gas and kill Jews, and they were over here making the trigger. Like, let's say the atomic bomb was the car. Monsanto was responsible for making the key to that car to turn that bitch on. That was called, because this was in Dayton, Ohio. If you look right here, you're going to see that was in Dayton, Ohio. So a part of the Manhattan Project, which was in Manhattan, New York, this was called the Dayton Project in Dayton, Ohio. The last secret of the A bomb, or the atomic bomb, or the H bomb, the hydrogen bomb. Now, Dr. Charles A. Thomas, who was over the Dayton Project, was the Monsanto Monsanto Chemical Company is director. That's an incomplete sentence, so I read it wrong. My apologies. They investigated the chemistry and metallurgy of polonium. They created a polonium-based modulator neurons initiator used in the chain reaction of the atomic bomb. So what we're seeing right here in yellow is that the 1940 research begins for uranium for the Manhattan Project. And this is actually the same slide twice. Let me just delete that now that I noticed that. Moving forward, family, moving forward. Now we're dealing with Disneyland. Crumb. Monsanto got connections to Disneyland? You goddamn right. So we moved from the 1940s when we're dealing with the World War II, and now that war is over, so you got to do something new. So now we're dealing with the 1950s. In the 1950s, Disneyland creates several Monsanto attractions at Disney's Tomorrowland, espousing the glories of chemicals and right here, fam. Espousing the glories of chemicals and plastics. Their house of the future is constructed entirely of toxic plastic that is not biodegradable, as they had assessed. This is actually in Monsanto magazine, because they were very proud of that. So now, I'm right here, family, in the red. When Disney tried to take down the exhibit, according to Monsanto magazine, wrecking balls literally bounced off the glass fiber, reinforced polyester material. Torches, jackhammers, chainsaws, and shovels did not work. Finally, choker cables were used to squeeze off parts of the house bit by bit. Oh, biodegradable? Biodegradable? What the hell is that y'all done created? What is that? Disney couldn't even take that bitch down. They didn't even have a harder time taking down 9/11, the Twin Towers. I bet you the Twin Towers would have made out of this shit, that the goddamn planes would have knocked that bitch down. Moving on, family, moving on. So now, 1950s is over. The thing with Disneyland didn't work like they thought or hoped it would. However, Monsanto is going good now because there's a new war, the Vietnam War. So now Monsanto can get back into war games, because this video is called 100-Year Killing Spree, and Monsanto is in the business of killing niggas. Okay? And don't be mad that I say the word nigga, but you not mad with fucking Diet Pepsi. With your Diet Pepsi ass. Crumb, don't be saying nigga. What? Go back and drink that damn diet soda. You so mad that you drinking diet soda. I'm about to jump on this one. Family. So now in the 1960s, Monsanto with chemical partner in crime, Dow Chemical, produces dioxin-laced Agent Orange for Vietnam. Over 3 million people contaminated. 500,000 Vietnamese civilians dead. I'm making put a million right here. Let me just fix that. 500,000 Vietnamese babies born with defects, and thousands of U.S. military vets suffering and dying from its effects till this day. Till this day, family. This is called I forgot what it's called. Damages. It's called I forgot what the word is. But anyway, going back to Richard Belzer from the hit TV series Law and Order. Going back to Richard Belzer from the hit TV series Law and Order. And in his book, he talks about Agent Orange, and this is what he has to say. Of course,